Welcome back, Silver Bullet Saga listeners. I'm your host, Ryan Vonderhaar. We made it through the second bye week, and finally we're entering in the final stretch of this terrific 2025 Ohio State football season campaign, defending a national championship. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Adam Vonderhaar. Adam, how you doing?
Folks, if you don't think it's a big deal to win a bye week, try losing one. Ask JT Barrett. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that there. But we made it. All bye weeks are done. It's back to business.
We don't need to leave it there, Adam. It's so poignant. We'll just give the 30-second story. How long was it? 10 years ago or 9 years ago now today?
We're in line to receive our American degrees in Louisville.
Yep.
We get texts and tweets and group chats start buzzing. This is probably 8:30 in the morning. JT Barrett arrested in downtown Columbus for a DUI charge on the bye week. Unbelievable. Bad news.
He needed his brothers that day, right? JT, the consummate professional, the consummate leader, making the terrible decision, in college, just like many people have. Unfortunately, he ended up getting over it, working his way back onto the team and leading them to a nice, successful season. But as Adam just said, you can lose the bye week, and we did not this year. Now, if Brian Hartline got named Penn State's, new head coach for next season, maybe you would call that a bye week loss. But
There's
that also
more than
didn't
one
happen.
way to lose a bye week. Yeah, that's correct.
That also didn't happen. With that, Adam, we're just going to spend a tiny, super minuscule amount of time talking about Ohio State's beatdown on Wisconsin. 2 weeks ago. Buckeyes get out of Madison, 34-0. It's 17-0 after the first quarter. It really felt like after that, hey, let's run the ball. Let's try to take time off the clock and get out of here as quickly as we can. I think it was analyst Jake Butt this week, all-team first name guy. He was at the beginning of the NIL era, sponsored by Charmin, I believe, Ultrasoft, because he's Jake Butt, right? Unfortunately, he's a Michigan guy, but I really like him. He's got good takes on as an analyst, and he does well. He kind of did a segment this week about how by the end of this season, because of the amount of running the ball and chewing the clock Ohio State does and taking their time on offense, that the Buckeyes will have effectively played one full less game than almost every other team in the country, just based on the amount of snaps they're saving, off of the guys' bodies. And in this world of a huge expanded playoff and a really long, postseason campaign, what more can you want than a good, fresh team, right, as we get into December? But all that being said, Adam, throw out any takeaways from Wisconsin? We know we had a young guy get some additional carries, but anything you want to throw in?
Julian saying can't speak on him enough. I think he's putting together a great Heisman candidacy if we can just keep these numbers the way they are. 94.5 QBR for the game, 36 of 42 completions, almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. We just keep stacking those, and I think we look to do something like that this weekend, hopefully. But yeah,
36
I feel bad for
completions,
Luke
man.
Fickell.
Yeah, yeah, 36 completions, 4 touchdowns, no picks, played a clean game. The Sayan Heisman conversation is, I think, just now going to begin. Like, if he has a big game against Penn State, he looks the way he's supposed to. He gets it done against his other opponents. But if he can write the rivalry, at the end of the season, he's going to have a really compelling case to take home the greatest college football individual trophy in the sport. So we'll see about Sayan. We love him. He's so accurate, super fun to watch on offense. Another guy from 2 Saturdays ago, Isaiah West, true freshman running back, gets a handful of carries in that game, carried the ball 9 times for 55 yards on the ground. Exciting to see, but also, man, it feels like we don't have a true answer yet, in the running back room, right? We've had 4 guys get pretty meaningful carries up through this point. You really like what you've seen in Bo Jackson. You like what you saw there from Isaiah West. You've got a big guy in C.J. Donaldson who's pretty good in short yardage. And then you got James Peoples who keeps catching balls right out of the backfield. I don't know. Maybe that is going to just be the case this year, is that it's running back by committee. But in Ryan Day's press conference this week, he was pretty specific with his language. He said, I'm waiting for a guy to take it. I'm waiting for someone to show us like you are the guy, you're the bell cow back, essentially, and you're the guy that we can rely on when things get tough. Which is what at some point that's going to happen, right? We're going to need a guy to get some serious yards in a big situation, at least maybe. But yeah, there on Saturday, Isaiah West finishes with 55 yards on 9 carries, 6.1 yards a carry. So that's pretty
Are
darn
are
good.
we disappointed in the Bo Jackson story? Did the hype outshine in the name outshine the guy? Because it seems
Not
like we've seen a regression a little bit.
his worst day as a
Yeah.
Buckeye was against Wisconsin. 10 carries for 26 yards. That's 2.6 a carry. Just not going to get it done. In any situation, that's not going to help us. C.J. Donaldson, 2 carries, uh, one for 13 yards, one for a loss of one. So like very much a mixed bag there. As you go through the entire thing, Sayan had a couple pickups himself, which was nice, with including a long of 8 yards he picked up with his feet. So
Yeah.
we'll
Couple
see.
sacks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it remains to be seen, right? Like, what is the future of the running back position? Um,
This was about, if folks can put themselves back in that spot, this was about the time of the year where Zeke started to make a bit of a push in the running back room in 2014. Like, he had some decent numbers through the year, but it wasn't until probably 3/4 of the way through the season that he started to really pick up what he was doing. And hopefully we see something like that from one of these guys. Somebody's got to pick up the ball and be the leader in the running back room. We don't quite have it yet the way we'd like to see it, because it's Wisconsin, folks. That team's all but given up. They're 2-5, and you're telling me we can't get a guy to consistently run against them. And I get,
yeah.
they know they're gonna stack the box, second half, because they know we're just trying to run this thing out, because we're just trying to sit on them. But man, dang it, somebody break something off, get some yardage. But
That's a big piece of it, I think. Like when the other team just knows you're going to run, it's going to be tricky no matter what. Oh boy, we're joined by a special guest here today. Really excited to see him. Going to be his first time on the video debut of the Silver Bullet Saga as we launch our YouTube channel after this episode. We're really excited about it. But welcoming regular contributor, yep, points up to Urban, operating out of the Urban office right now. Abram Zehentbauer. Abe, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. If I knew I was going to be on the video feed, maybe I need to start filling, my background here with more Ohio State stuff. I have a little bit here and
look
there.
at me. I've got a dang blue blanket behind me. This is unacceptable. Or you know what? We're gonna
Yeah,
correct that right now.
it's a little rough here. This is actually the best case scenario. Normally, this is kind of our office slash staging room for everything. So, but no, we're doing great here on a beautiful Thursday night. Just got done with trick or treating with my son. Um, and now we're
Old Paul.
now we're here and we're getting things done, and yeah, just excited about a big week against not our rivals.
Man, I mean, what we thought was going to be maybe the biggest college football game of the entire year, right, has turned into a little bit of a downer. I mean, we're going to get to the game here in just a second, but got to shout out Abe. He just got done putting our tents out. Silver Bullet Saga is going to be hosting what I believe what will be our fourth tailgate of the season, which is pretty terrific. This Saturday, we'll be there bright and early in the Agricultural Administration building lot. It's going to be awesome. Abram, Little Paul, Christine, and I all got to be at Brutus Buckeye's 60th birthday celebration yesterday evening, where we broke the Guinness Book of World Records for most conical hats in one place, which was pretty exciting. Abe, any parting thoughts? I know you're a big Brutus guy, but anything to say about the celebration?
Yeah, it was awesome. Um, just to make everyone aware, the previous record holders, uh, yes, it was a group of grade school children, so we did take candy from a baby, uh, and but to make you feel a little bit better about it, I think I heard right that grade school group was they're from the Ann Arbor area. So I don't know if that was like a targeted, like someone from administration was like going down through Guinness Book of World Records, like, hey, what can we break this year? Oh, hey, here's some from Michigan. That's an easy way for us to get people excited and involved. So, but yeah, it was a lot of
The
fun.
the crowd of Buckeye fans booed
Yeah.
them, booed the grade
Grade school
school
children. Yeah.
children,
It
which
was like a
was
primary, like I think they called it a primary school. Like it was like, it's not just like, oh, it's like little kids. So yeah. But hey,
we took it.
yeah.
Abe, you and I really should have the hats on right now.
I don't
I
even know
left
where
mine in the
mine
car,
is.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure that string has broken. I mean, for the folks at home, this is like the classic birthday hat, like a piece of cardboard that is like fitted together with little slots, and then just the absolute cheapest piece of like elastic string going underneath your chin gives you a welt under your chin, so it's strong enough to give you a welt, but not strong enough to actually hold on for longer than 5 minutes on the like piece of cardboard. So it snaps immediately. Um, but yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, we had a good experience. Nice to be a world record holder, Abram and I. All that to say, we're going to turn the page and start talking a little bit about this game, I think. The Nittany Lions enter Ohio Stadium without their primary head coach, or the head coach that they started the season with, James Franklin. We said goodbye to him, 2 weeks ago now, and it's kind of set the college football world ablaze, right? With the coaching carousel that kick started, right? After that, Florida State dismissed their guy, Florida dismissed theirs. Uh, just this week, Brian Kelly down at LSU experienced his, I think, third loss of the LSU season, and they showed him the door. So it's going to be a really unique off season, really unique to see. I'm sure there's going to be some first time head coaches at some of these, big time programs. So really interesting to see. Brian Hartline, of course, our wide receiver coach, Buckeye great, NFL great, elite recruiter. His name has been floated around a little bit about the Penn State job. I tend to think a lot of that is kind of Twitter rumors and whatnot popping off. And at a minimum, right, a great negotiating tool for Brian Hartline to go back to Ohio State and say, hey, I deserve a raise because Penn State's willing to give me probably 10 mil plus a year, kind of the going rate of big time college coaches right now.
Rat poison.
I don't think that'll happen, but yeah, Abe, any thoughts
Yeah,
on that?
just I had two words, the famous words of Nick Saban, rat poison. Just
Absolutely.
just
Rat
just
poison.
just things out there to keep to get our focus off the main goal here. So
A little bit
Yeah, 100.
about James Franklin, I think, is in order if we want to shift gears for a second. I don't
Yes.
know if many folks in college football would find this surprising that he was fired. I think the biggest thing is that he was fired mid-season. This is a guy that was booed several seasons in advance, to this point by his own fans. I mean, Abram, we remember back in 2018 that the blown loss, Dwayne Haskins, the comeback win for Ohio State in Happy Valley. I think that started the real carousel of just, well, yeah, I guess that is right because the year before they blew it in Columbus, but there's not as many Penn State fans there to boo James, but just a lot of getting close to the finish line, but never quite making it there for James Franklin in his career at Penn State. He started his career at Penn State in 2014. Really, just never asserted himself for never put Penn State back at the top of the Big Ten conference of the success they had probably in the early 90s. We have to look back to when they were like consistently topping things in the Big Ten, but a lot of opens up 2-6, then he's 4-4 in conference, 8-1, 7-2. A lot of I would say 7-2 is kind of the average. He's going to lose to Michigan, he's going to lose to Ohio State most seasons in the Big Ten East Division, and I think finally their program said enough is enough. We got to try something else because just pounding the rock against the wall with no different result was not getting it done. And you lose to Oregon in double overtime at home. You then go on the road and lose to UCLA, a team that just fired their head coach that was 0-4 in that game. And then you lose to Northwestern, another bottom tier school in the Big Ten. All of a sudden, I don't blame Penn State for moving on. I think Ohio State put yourself in the same situation to just fall on your face after you were I mean, folks, for those that don't follow the sport, this was the projected number one team in the country going into the season. And then they go on a 3-loss streak in the middle of the season, only one of them even being remotely excusable. Uh, it's, you know, it is what it is, as they say. And it's going to be interesting who fills that void at Penn State. But
It was the issue, Adam. I'm reminded of 2021 Ohio State and the Kerry Combs defense, and I call it the Kerry Combs defense not to hang it on him, but just like the state of the defense right back then. And I remember I believe it was Bobby Carpenter coming on 97.1 The Fan, and there was some pushback because he was so upset. I mean, at the standard that had essentially been let go at Ohio State, and he kept repeating that phrase, "The standard is the standard." And if you ever listen to him, that's like a common thing. But it's like if you truly, hold your program, your team, your job, whatever this thing is, if you hold it in that high regard, then you can't move the goalpost just because the situation, has changed a little bit. The standard is the standard. So for a place like Penn State, it's difficult to say that because it's not like they're, totally drenched in national championships and even in the Joe Paul era, like, they were really, really good, but they were never like a top level dominant team,
Yeah, Penn
year in,
State
year
has
out.
always been, you wouldn't call them a blue chip, but whatever the phrase would be,
Just
below blue
outside.
chip. Yeah,
Yeah.
just outside blue chip, I think is a fair thing to give Penn State because they were pretty good for a long time.
Yeah. And now they're moving on and whatever this new chapter brings with it. I mean, I think that they have extremely high expectations. So we'll see what kind of coach, they're able to bring in. Announced today, Matt Rule, who's out at Nebraska, who's having kind of a wishy-washy season now with where they're standing at this point. He was one of the leading candidates for that Penn State job. He was from Penn State, played at Penn State as a player way back in the day. Well, he just signs a 2-year extension with Nebraska that's going to keep him there, I think, through 2032 is what I saw, and they added a $15 million buyout into that contract.
What do
So
you guys think of that move by Matt Rule? Because if I'm Matt Rule, I think I give it a heck of a look to go back to my alma mater in on the East Coast. I think a much easier place to recruit than Nebraska these days. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Just take with what you're comfortable with, the contract you got, or go home and try something new? What would you have done? It's hard
it's
to say.
hard. Yeah, I mean, partially you're on an island, I think, on both programs recruiting wise. Like, I think Penn State, it's so remote inside of Pennsylvania that it's difficult to get to. We remember James Franklin crying about how the runway's not big enough for like a legitimate big airliner to, get in and out of there. So there's some issues there. But man, Lincoln, Nebraska, I mean, you are out there, right? That is like the middle of the country. How hard is it to sell, Texas, Florida, California kids, to make that move? Like, I think both of them kind of have challenges, but they both have positives. They're both historic programs, in the history of college football. If I'm Matt Rule, I probably do go home, but that's me, right? Like if I had the call between Ohio State and another program, I'm going to Ohio State because that's my spot. But each person, is a little different. Abe.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it from like his perspective too. He's done a ton of work to recruit high level players to Nebraska. I mean, I don't know, I know their recruiting rankings aren't like fantastic, but you have Dylan Raiola, like, I mean, he was the number one ranked quarterback of his class. Like that's huge. And maybe
He
there
was a
was
Georgia commit. He
yeah,
was
he was an
almost at
OSU
Ohio
commit.
State. Like that
Yeah.
was a big time.
So I
Yeah.
think there might have even been a discussion where he sits down with the Raiolas, Dylan and his parents, and was like, "Hey, if I do this, I think in the landscape of college football, that's definitely a discussion that's having of like, hey, I have this landmark recruit that is now in his second year starting. Jury's still out, I think, if he's going to be elite, but I I wouldn't be surprised if a conversation happened with them of like, hey, if I do this, will you follow me? How strong are your ties to Nebraska? Like,
You're probably right with that, Abe.
and looking at it like, okay, you look at the history of college, you talk about like a historical context. If you were to tier out blue bloods, you could probably make the case that Nebraska and Penn State are on the same tier level. Uh, Nebraska may even be higher, talking about historical context. Yeah, like if you're going to say, well, Penn State is currently the better job, well, currently the better job because James Franklin made it the better job, and that's the guy you just fired. So you can't even use that as like an excuse of like, oh, it's a better job. Well, he made it the better job, the guy you just fired. So going back to that, like they have
10-2 is the
Yes.
expectation at Penn
Well,
State. I mean, like that's the
but it's the same
you
in
can't be
Nebraska.
worse
I
than
mean,
10-2.
they fired Bo
Right.
Pelini for going 9-3 every year. So I just think those two
Yeah.
programs. I think he looked at it from like an existential viewpoint and said, "Hey, these two teams, these two programs are at the same level. I know that's my alma mater, but I already have a lot of roots set down here, recruits,
Yeah.
family that's here. You know what? No change is better for my situation because
You've talked me right back
yeah,
into it. Actually, I totally understand why he
I
stayed with all
yeah,
that on the table.
it's a lot going on. So
And even though you can change things quickly, it's also easy to lose everything. Like
Yeah.
it's a gamble,
Yeah.
to go to Penn
Brian
State.
Kelly.
And yeah, absolutely. Like had a good thing going at Notre Dame, and you've seen how far he's fallen. Okay, I think we turn the page here, start talking about the game itself a little bit. Obviously not what we thought it was going to be coming into this season, right? Drew Aller, Ohio kid, one of the, top quarterbacks kind of ranked coming into this season, or at least a lot of people thought. I know everybody on this podcast had our reservations about Aller just based on how he plays in big games. And that's the only way to judge a quarterback. How can you play when your team needs you the most, when they know you're going to throw it, when you can't turn it over, right? Those are things that killed Kyle McCord, right? He was a great normal game quarterback, could make the easy throws, but when the pressure was on, that's when the turnovers would happen. It even plagued Will a little bit. He got over it. Was able to excel last year. Through the playoff stretch, but there was moments for him like that as well. So all that to say, we get to see another Ohio kid start for Penn State. And what is it, guys? Grunkmeyer? Is that right? I don't have it in front of me. He's an Olentangy River recruit. They still have Aller listed here on the website, which is kind of funny. But yeah, Grunkmeyer will get it. I believe that's his name. Will get his second start in college football. He'll start his first game in Ohio Stadium, which he probably grew up dreaming about, as a young kid, growing up in the shadow of Ohio State. So what a cool moment for him. Um, Other than that, I mean, ESPN's given the Buckeyes a 90% chance to win this game. Ohio State's favored by 19 and a half points. The thing that makes this is where my gut is at on this. Penn State has struggled on offense the entire season. I mean, there hasn't been a game where it's been like, oh yeah, they're going up and down the field. I guess you could point to the UCLA game, which kind of was the catalyst for this entire disaster, where they did score later in that game, and Aller led them on some pretty
But
strong
Aller's
drives.
not there anymore.
But Aller's
You
not
know,
there. Yeah,
that's the tough part. Penn State's really I think, gonna struggle a lot because they don't really have any deep threat passing game. It's all screen passes and check downs and just very short completions, just trying to let Grunkmeyer get comfortable in the starting job. So if they can't find a way to air the ball out, I don't see how this goes well at all for them on offense. But they do have great running backs.
that's kind of the whole thing, Adam. And I think it's an issue that plagued Franklin as well. Is when is the last time you've looked at a Penn State team and thought, oh man, there's an explosive playmaker that they're putting in great, positions to get down the field? There really hasn't been that way in years. Like Tyler Warren last year, their big tight end, he was a weapon. He was a guy that could run the ball, and they tried to get the ball to him. But like I think that they've had trouble recruiting those positions. Like even our guy, uh, Fleming, right, who went there a couple years ago, like didn't really stand out at all. Because I don't think that the offense that they've had up to this point was built to highlight receivers. So it's hard to recruit great receivers to go to a school like that if you feel like your potential, your career is going to be wasted. Um, anyway, all that being said, kind of the biggest storyline probably going into Saturday is the return of Jim Knowles, national champion winning Ohio State defensive coordinator. Waits 2 days. The body's not even cold yet after the national championship, and the ink is dry, and he's moving back to Pennsylvania, his home state, and
Isn't
joining the.
at the national championship celebration.
Say more.
Sorry, Ryan.
No, I was going to
I
say,
mean,
go ahead and unpack that.
middle of contract negotiation. Penn State's reaching out. He wants a contract extension. He wants a pay raise. Doesn't come to the national championship celebration at the shoe with all the other coaches and players because he's already taken a job with Penn State. And this is, guys, this meant a lot more at the end of last season than it does now, because this was the rival in the east side of the Big Ten. I know we're kind of divisionless now, but it's totally changed. The wheels have come off the bus. They've fired their head. He couldn't have made a worse decision at this point. He's probably going to get fired when the new head coach comes in and he brings his whole new staff in. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to think Knowles is regretting it. And Ryan Day is I know there was hard feelings with how that played out. So
Oh, Adam,
given
we'll
the
get the day's
opportunity,
quotes. We'll get the day's quotes this week
yeah,
about
yeah,
looking forward to that. But
sure.
you're totally right. I mean, and it's rare for Day to wear
It's
it.
like a girl thinking she's got it so good. She could do so much better, right? She could do so much better. So you break up and she gets with like a loser, and you get with a supermodel. So you both start dating new people, because we bring in Patricia, and it literally could not have gone better with a new
You can't tell
defensive
the story
coordinator.
without talking about Patricia, really. I mean,
Right.
how there
The
was at no
fill-in
point,
is better than the guy we were upset about.
even I think us three thinking, okay, even though we're losing Knowles, we've still got Downs, we've still got Sonny Styles, like there's still good players on the D line. We don't have to be as good as we were last year, and we'll still be a really solid team. What did Patricia do? He comes in and is better than Knowles in any of Knowles' years, with us at Ohio State. Abe, I mean, anything to say, about that? Anything to say about the whole Knowles thing? What, him coming in on Saturday? Anything you want to add in there?
Yeah, you're starting to see pictures of like, I don't know, some of the beat reporters were posting pictures of Knowles with a in-game headset during practice this week. I think it's a lot of hoopla. I think they are trying to put out the image that they're going to be much more serious. I'm sure they are going to be much more serious. I'm sure they're going to try and put out a heck of a game plan. But I just, you like say, you're hearing all this stuff about how his players are talking about the system and how it's hard to understand and how they can't operate quick enough. And meanwhile, over in greener pastures, Ohio State, all the players are saying it's actually like confirming that, saying it's easier to understand our system
Yeah.
now. We talk to our coach on a regular basis. He's a great guy. He's got a family that we've interacted with.
Yep.
Subtly trying not to be, at the end of the day, he brought us a national championship on defense, but
Absolutely. It's mixed, right? It's complicated,
so
but
he is a good defensive coordinator. He can't be great, because nobody needs 3 years to make a defense good when you got
yeah,
good players. And that's what Jim Knowles preaches every time he takes a new job. It's going to take 3 years.
and I'd be just interested in hearing like the conversation that Ryan Day had with Matt Patricia to like bring him on of like, hey, come to college. Like you've done this NFL thing forever. Everyone knows you as an NFL coach. Have you considered coming to college? I'm offering you a position. Like Ryan Day came from the NFL himself, so he probably did a little bit of like, dude, it is so easy over here. Like on the coaching, like these players actually want to be coached. It gets you down to the basics of coaching. It'll be a lot of fun. Columbus is a great city to have a family in. So yeah, I just in terms of the Knowles thing, it's such like a secondary thing in my head. I just want to get the win and get out of here. Like same discussion with the rest of the season. Like the rest of the season is the same as this game. Just get
Bringing in
points, get out.
the NFL coordinator, bringing those in on 1-year leases. Ryan Day is showing that this is very sustainable, as long as you have other coaches on either side of the ball that can work on recruiting and everything else. Bring in the genius to call the plays and teach the guys how to make them. Like Chip Kelly last year, Patricia this year. This seems very sustainable. And I don't
Adam,
know if
the
there's
whole second half of Saban's career was built off of this. Was
exactly.
bringing
This is the
in
Saban model.
rehabilitated, terrific, big time elite coaches that just made a mistake, or whatever at their last stop, and
Had a
letting
bad
them.
run as weren't good head coaches in the NFL.
Yeah,
That's it.
big thing we're missing out here on the whole discussion of coordinators is the we talk about having the same players. What about the three guys? And there's maybe more than three, but the three base guys that are the same with Knowles as they are now with Patricia: Tim Walton, Larry Johnson, James
Yep.
Laurinaitis. Like that's where the buck stops. Like everything beyond that is
Right.
just the system. Okay, yeah, hey, here's my system. Now infiltrate that into your position. Okay, well, even those guys were having, even franchise leading tackler for the Rams, James Laurinaitis, struggling to get these guys to understand the program. Now Patricia has, figured out a way. Like it's those three guys now.
I
It's
know
those three guys. Like
Jim Knowles got us to the finish line. Matt
in
Patricia
spite.
is such a better defensive coordinator than Jim Knowles.
We got to the finish line
Yeah,
in spite
yeah,
of Jim
in
Knowles.
spite-
Like
it's
I don't want to say
literally,
that, but like
literally.
I mean,
The Peach Bowl, we were all at the Peach Bowl, guys.
That's hard. That's hard to say though, because last year, even in the loss, right, the one we don't want to talk about to Michigan, you only let them put up 13 points in that game. Like that was not on Knowles.
that's
That was
true.
not on
That is
Knowles.
true.
Oh,
But the broken like Jim Knowles basically said,
you're right,
broken
Adam. What you're about
plays,
to, yeah,
broken plays are just baked in with a delicious cake that I'm going to
it's
give
a part
you.
of the game.
Yeah,
There's going to be big plays.
we are going to be so aggressive that you got to be cool with an 80-yard broken play, like a touchdown in the fourth quarter. It's just going to happen. We're that aggressive on getting to the quarterback. Matt Patricia says that's really not necessary. We can just shut them down. We don't have to do that. We don't have to give up everything trying to sack the quarterback. And it's worked way better, in my opinion. I know we got a lot of games to play, but man, this defense, there's not a flea flicker on the planet that's going to trick this Ohio State defense. They're so disciplined. I love it.
Ethan Grunkemeyer is his name. Grew up in Olentangy. He's number
Grunkemeyer.
17.
When is Penn State gonna
Penn
learn?
State.
When it?
His parents, Rob Gronkowski and Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
When's Penn State going to learn if Ryan Day passes on a Columbus area quarterback?
No.
You probably don't need him. Oh,
yes. No, just in general, Ohio people. Like when is Penn State going to learn? Because they've had this system over the last decade of like, hey, can't beat them, join them. Here, let's go out and get. Was it? It wasn't Trace. Was it Trace McSorley that was from Cincinnati St. Xavier? Then you had Allard. Now you have Grunkemeyer. You take on Jim Knowles, our previous coordinator. Like you have.
They're picking up the table.
There's been a ton of Youngstown Ursuline players that end up going to Penn. Like that is one high school we don't have a connection to that much. Is Youngstown Ursuline going to Penn State? Like when are they going to learn that taking our like Passovers is probably not the best? Like you can't copy what we have because we're taking the premier level of things. And you don't have access to that. So stop. Just take some Pennsylvania guys. Go after New Jersey. I don't want to tell them how to run their program, but
you want quarterbacks, you go to California.
Yeah.
Ryan Day knows this. CJ Stroud saying this is where the quarterbacks are out in California.
Get a little
That's where you gotta go. They're not here.
That California
Yeah.
I'll start it.
Yeah, a little surfer mindset. You got to get out there.
I was just reading this article that ESPN put out kind of previewing the game, and it sounds like Penn State also has another freshman quarterback who just got reactivated from injury, Beckham, Bekkem.
Don't like that.
Beckham Kritza. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. He's from Arizona, and he's activated from injury. He's going to be available for Saturday. So we'll see if he brings up anything spicy.
That do concern me a little bit.
Yeah, that do be concerning me a bit, but again, the offense is going to have to look drastically different, and our defense is going to have to really not take them seriously if we're going to get extremely concerned. Now, I don't know if that's going to play into the cover, right? Because 20 points, against Penn State, that's a lot. We're going to have to hold them to pretty much nothing, and then hope that Day doesn't take his foot off the gas too early. If you're going to get into a nice, comfortable cover, I also want to. Well, a couple different things to mention here. I liked this quote from Ohio State or from Ryan Day's press conference this week on Monday about mindset leaving the second bye week. The players and the great coaches sustain throughout the season. Okay. This first chapter, just one thing we're entering in. This is winning time, right? As you get into November. But I love the end of this quote. We are just getting started. To me, this is like the start of the season. Here we are. We're in November. Here it comes. Which, if you think about it from that perspective of like, this has all just been a preamble, to get us to November and for this team to start really hitting its stride, things could get pretty scary for other teams across this country. I hope that
you're telling me you're about to witness the power of a fully operational battle station. Is that basically what Ryan Day's saying there?
That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's what he's saying or not.
Okay.
The other thing, and I don't have it in front of me, but Day got asked in the press conference. He kind of gave this like pretty public relations friendly answer about, what's it like with Jim Knowles leaving just after the national championship. And Day kind of says, well, like with any, end of any relationship, there's some that are good and some that are bad. And to me, it's like, okay, that's pretty serious, to start
A lot
with.
of times it's a lot easier to just say, I have a lot of respect for Jim
Yeah.
Knowles and we wish him the best.
But he finished it with, you try not to take some of that stuff personal, but I am human. That was the end. That was the end of the answer. So to me, it's like, well, what is this number Days, Reddit wanting to put up on Saturday? So we'll see about it. Other things for us to cover, guys. It's a blackout on Saturday, but we're not wearing black jerseys. And Abe is still holding out hope. Abe, what's your theory?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of previous teams. I've seen recent videos of like a lot of teams are doing blackout this week because Halloween and the timing of everything. I've seen videos previously of Georgia doing this, where they come out and at the beginning of warm-ups and they're wearing the regular jerseys. Seen Tennessee do it a couple years ago, back in was it 12, or it was back when Lane Kiffin was their coach, where they come out and they do their warm-ups in their regular jerseys, and then boom, they come out for the game and they're in all blacks and the crowd goes nuts. So we have two options here. Either Ohio State really is this doll and is really saying, you know what, people are asking for something, and we're just not going to give it to them because we're a bunch of crotchety old people, or they are so organized that this is all a surprise, and they're gonna, we're gonna surprise us with something completely brand new.
There's no way.
I don't know, man. Yeah,
There's no
It would
way.
be awesome.
They are horrible at secret keeping. Anytime they release an alternate jersey, they're teasing that every day leading up. They're giving you a little shot of one little, a thread.
Here's where you can buy it.
Yeah. Here's the link to get
it. That's the big thing, right? For the universe. Like, here's where you can go.
I wish you were right, Abram, but we treat it like such a business at Ohio State that it's like we would never be that.
I hope
creative.
Abe's right. I hope we're eating our words.
Hopefully I have to eat my words on.
We haven't even done like a whiteout jersey. We like the whiteout uniforms. We haven't done all scarlets this year. And I understand that there's a lot of.
But dude, they love rolling out the scarlet out against Rutgers. Like we still got that, on the calendar or something like that. Sorry,
no, it's just like you say. I know it's a lot of like politics with Nike, but like Nike came out with these Grateful Dead uniforms for Oregon in like 5 minutes, and then they were on the field with them. And I'm sure it took longer than that, but you know what I mean? Like this has been
Oregon gets 2 a week, right? Like Ohio State should be the
Oregon
same.
doesn't have a base uniform. It's just whatever we put together for that
Ross
week.
Bjork announced that this was going to be a blackout back in August. You're telling me that we didn't have time between August and the beginning of November to say, hey, can we get something made? Can let's get on this. Let's design something. Like if you literally just, hey, I know we don't have that. Redesign something really quick. It's not that hard.
I would love a new take on the black jerseys also.
I know, Ryan, I think it's a fruitless task, but we are clamoring for a re-release of the Wolf uniforms from 2017.
My favorite alternates.
Maybe, yeah. I love clearly the best. Not even up close to question.
The first clip in the trailer video, as I watch it here, is JT in the Wolf uniform.
That's the only reason I'm still holding out hope that it's a surprise. Is that
would be lit if they did come out and
they are playing a ton of the JT Barrett 2017 clips. Like, and I know that's an obvious one because that was a really great home game for us. They're going to play home game clips, but maybe it's because of the uniforms. I don't know.
Maybe.
I love it. Just to remind folks at home, if Penn State enters this game, number one, both teams coming off of a bye week, which I think is great. You don't have that weird rest versus rest issue between them. Penn State enters this game on 4 straight losses. Oregon in double overtime, as we all remember. UCLA, the shocking loss on the road, 42-37. And then the bad one. They lose at home to Northwestern 22-21. And then last week, make it pretty close. And Iowa is better this year than I think a lot of people think. They run the ball really well, but they still lose that one in Iowa 25-24. So they're reeling. They've got 4 losses in a row, and they're a dangerous team. Is it impossible, right? Could Ohio State lose this game? It could happen. I'm not saying that that's...
They got great players.
Guys. Absolutely.
Don't be pissed if this looks close for a while.
And the NFL, as all the scouts say, the NFL is going to show you in April that they like a lot of players on this Penn State team. Now, nothing works if you don't have a quarterback, that can drive it. And we'll see. I mean, maybe Grunkemeyer, he lights it up and has an unreal Central Ohio legendary performance, but we'll see. With that, guys, we're starting to wrap up on time, so I want to get through and get everybody's predictions here. Adam, we'll start with you if you're ready to roll. Give us your score prediction for the game.
I call it wishful thinking. It's a spread that I have never seen as an Ohio State fan watching Ohio State play Penn State. I see this as a 25-point home Ohio State win, 42-17 final score. And I guess those 2 touchdowns come from broken plays by their great running backs to get 2 of those touchdowns. I'm going to give them, but 42-17, one of the higher scoring games for this offense. They find another gear against Penn State on Saturday.
Abe, over to you.
Yeah, I don't like, but I agree with what you guys were saying earlier about, don't be upset when this is a closer game than we think, but like longer into the game, that third, fourth quarter, second half team comes through. Again, I think it's going to be a weird scoregami type game. Give me Bucks 35-20. They're going to get a touchdown and 3 field goals.
Ooh.
Touchdown and 3 field goals for Penn State because they're just going to keep driving. I don't know, something crazy like that. So, yeah, 35-20.
Abe, I'm right there with you on offense. I'm going Ohio State 35, Penn State 10, because I know what you guys are saying there with them putting some points up. I watched the defense play this season, and I'm like, they're maybe more fun to watch than the offense. Like, that's how good the defense is playing. And I think that there's a lot of pride going into this game to say, hey, the guy that took you to a natty last year, this wasn't good enough. He left, and he's sitting on the other sideline. What are we going to do in front of him in this building? What kind of show are we going to put up? So I think we hold him to 10 or less. I think the offense kind of does what it's done up to this point. And as long as they play a clean game, the cover should be fine. But it is a lot of points, for a big-time opponent with good players. All that being said, open invite to the listeners of the podcast, Abe and I, Adam as well, going to be there bright and early in the Agricultural Administration building lot. Come on through, eat some great Ohio State Meat Lab pork breakfast sandwiches. We're going to have an unreal spread out there on Saturday. All that being said, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Silver
Bullet.
Saga.
We are going to lose. We are going to get our butts kicked.
Unrivaled.
Urban Meyer ringing the bell.
Of course you're unrivaled. You're definitely
A group from
everybody.
Pennsylvania come in, and I was telling them what they were all back during the presentation. I was like, this game's over on Saturday. This thing's done. This
You
thing's
go into
done.
Beaver Stadium, they've got every year in the last century on that stadium. For what? I don't know.